Hi everyone. Now that we have discussed about the quality and about what factors of production are and their mobility and how the influences on the mobility of factors of production, we can now move on to discuss what quality and quantity of factor of production are and how are they influenced in the economy. Quantity of factor of production basically means that the amount that is available in the economy. If we talk about that the quantity of a factor of production is increased, we are essentially talking about that the amount of that factor of production has increased in the economy and the amount that is available in the economy of that factor has increased. On the other hand, if we talk about the quality of the factor of production, we are talking about the productivity of that factor of production, okay, how productive it is, how much output that particular factor of production can produce per unit. So let's move to the first factor of production and see how the quantity and quality of land can be influenced and what are the factors that influence this. So, firstly, you need to understand that land is one of the most inflexible factor of production. Increasing the quantity of land is very difficult because it's virtually fixed there. The amount of natural resources that we have are virtually fixed until and unless we are able to explore new mineral reserves that are out there. We are able to find new gas reserves, oil reserves, or any mineral reserves. The quantity of land is fixed. In addition to that, through human efforts as well, we can increase the quantity of land, and that is through the reclamation projects. Reclamation projects kya hote hain? These are basically projects that the government undertakes to reclaim previously waterlogged and saline land, which was previously not uh, able to produce agricultural output, but government uses some techniques and measures to make that land usable again for agricultural purposes. So these are the two things that can influence the quantity of land. In addition to that, if we talk about the quality of land that is available, that depends on the, if we talk about the agricultural sector, it basically is dependent on the technology that we have. If we have better fertilizers, advanced irrigation systems, we are able to produce more agricultural output in the same amount of land that we have. So technological improvements are one of the factors which can influence the quality of that land that we have. Moving on, if we talk about the quality of the quantity of labor, this is influenced by many things. Number one thing is birth rates and death rates. Obviously, we know that birth rates and death rates eventually affect our population growth in the economy. If the birth rates are greater than the death rates, obviously our population would grow, and if our population grows, the number of labor in the economy will also improve. It will also increase. And on the contrary, if death rates are greater than the birth rates in the economy, that would mean that in the long run our population will decline, and a decline in a population would mean our working population, the people who are working, will also reduce, and hence the labor will reduce in the economy. In addition to that, migration patterns play another a very huge role in that as well. We need to see is there a net emigration in the economy or is there a net immigration in the economy. If we talk about emigration, this basically means that the number of people exiting the country are greater than number of people entering the country, and if that is so, we will have a net immigration, meaning that if we total that out, it will mean that people leaving the country are greater. And if people leaving the country are greater, that means our population would reduce, and the amount or and the quantity of labor in the economy will also reduce. On the other hand, if there is net immigration would mean that people coming into the country are greater than people leaving the country, and that would eventually mean that the population would grow, and if the population grows, our labor force also increases. In addition to that, the women participation in the labor force also plays a very huge role. If women participation is greater in the labor force and it's increasing in the country, the amount of labor force and working population will increase, and that would lead to an increase in labor force quantity. And on the contrary, if the women participation decreases, the amount of labor decreases in the economy. In addition to that, if the school leaving age decreases, the quantity of labor would increase because people would be coming into the labor force at an earlier age, and as a result they would be part of that labor force early on, and as a result the quantity of labor would increase. On the other hand, if the retirement age in the economy is increased, that would mean people who will be leaving the labor force at a later phase in their life, and as a result this would mean that that the labor force in the economy would increase, that because people won't be leaving the labor force early on. So as a result, these are the factors that influence the quantity of labor. If we talk about the quality of labor, obviously our education system, the amount of training schemes that are available, and how favorable the government policies are towards labor, these are the factors that play a huge role in the quality of labor that is out there. If the education system improves, the quality of labor also improves. If the training schemes enhance, the quality of labor also enhances. So these are directly related to the quality of labor. Moving on, if we talk about capital, capital की जो quantity है, that is dependent on our net investments. Now, what are investments? Investments in economics are basically the amount of money, the amount of spending that we do on capital goods. Now, capital goods are those man-made goods which are used for further production. So if our net investments are positive, meaning that our investments are greater than the depreciation that is happening, that would mean our capital stock in the economy will increase. And if the investments are negative, that would mean that there is a greater depreciation of capital than the investment that we're doing on that capital. The capital stock in the economy will decrease. If we talk about the quality of capital, that basically relies on the technological advancements and how up to date the economy is with the technological enhancements that are happening in the country, in the world, and how up to date the knowledge base is of that particular country in relation to the world. If the country is adopting with the technology, with the changing technology, that would mean that our capital is increasing in quality, and the productivity of our capital would increase. On the contrary, if our capital becomes outdated, if the technology is outdated, our capital would become less productive. In the end, if we talk about the factor enterprise, the quantity of enterprise becomes on the attitude of is basically based on the attitude of the people who want to become entrepreneurs. If people do not want to become entrepreneurs and they want to work instead, that would mean that the quantity of enterprise would decrease in the economy. And on the contrary, if there is a greater trend of entrepreneurship in the country, then people would become entrepreneurs, and the quantity of enterprise would increase in the economy. The other thing is about the government support. If the government supports small businesses or medium-sized businesses in the economy by giving them subsidies, that would mean that the government is supporting entrepreneurship, and that would eventually mean that the quantity of entrepreneurship would further increase in the economy, because the government is supporting them, and hence their quantity would increase. And if we talk about the quality of enterprise, that depends on, are available financial literacy courses available in the economy. If people have access to the financial literacy courses and managerial courses in the economy, their skills would increase and they would be able to perform well on. And if they do not have access to appropriate courses for financial literacy, for marketing, for HR, for operations management, they won't be able to effectively produce the goods and services, and as a result, their productivity will decline. And that would mean that the quality of enterprise would decrease. And in addition to that, opportunities for gaining managerial skills is one of those influences that impact the quality of enterprise out there. See you in the next video, inshallah.